Hey everybody in YouTube land. So this is part 2 of my anti-turtling commentary slash guide. What I'm going to be talking about specifically in this video is delayed throw tech turtling. I am going to start with covering what that means. What is delayed throw tech in general? How might it be abused in certain situations by players with a turtling playstyle? And so why do people do it, first of all? Why would people spam something like delayed throw tech, and why you shouldn't do that, and how do you beat it? You ever wonder why sometimes if you're doing a drive rush into a strike mix up, like in some of these clips, could be so good at throw teching, stopping your throw, and so you see that in some of my clips over and over here, where somebody is just either stopping your throw in advance or upon a throw strike mix up or a meaty throw, they're able to sort of, it almost seems like they're, they're a step ahead of you, right? So that's what this video is going to look at. It's going to look at examples of what's going on here with something called delayed throw tech, a powerful technique that people are using to try and shut down offense. Before we get into what delayed throw tech is, I should point out that some characters, the way they're designed, are just uniquely good at throw strike mix up, maybe better than others. So this is something characters like Cammy and Ryu are sort of notorious for, maybe other characters as well. But like with Cammy, the crouching heavy punch into throw, they just feed really well into each other. Yeah, crouching heavy punch into throw. How many times has that happened to you? Probably plenty of times in an actual match. Crouching heavy punch into throw. It's not that you can't interrupt this, but when people are in the business of blocking a strike, they think there are going to be more strikes to follow, maybe in a potential combo. So it gives you an opening and an opportunity as a character like Cammy to throw after. And in the case of Ryu, he's got a really strong loop here where he can go into a heavy punch and drive rush another heavy punch. And if the second heavy punch, the first or second, doesn't connect, he's got the option of basically doing a meaty throw after, and you can get caught in that unless you throw tech. So this is a very strong thing that people do on offense. It's safe. It gives them some protection in terms of not opening themselves up to being punished, but also continuing their offense when an opponent is blocking a lot. So what is a delayed throw tech? It's basically, to define this, when an opponent goes for a strike and you block that strike, you can also tap throw right after. And if they go for that throw on the strike throw mix up, it will tech the throw. So you can see that here. This gives you the option as a player of not only blocking a strike, but also protecting yourself against throw. So that's why this is so strong. If you're doing both of these things, blocking and preemptively pushing throw, you're protecting yourself against, on two different fronts, which is a really good thing. Just looking at Rashid and looking at my own play style, something like, a tick throw, drive rush, standing light kick into throw is a potential application for delayed throw tech, as you just saw there, as you can see here. So that's one way that it could be useful. In any situation, really, involving a drive rush and a strike and a throw. So you could be going for an overhead, like you just saw there, into a throw, and you could tech that too if you're preemptively pushing throw. A crouching light, right? Another good example of really fast button, really good to do that into a throw, but the tech throw, the delayed throw tech also stops that. Plenty of other examples too of how this could be applied: drive rush, forward, light, medium punch. You might be doing a charge shot into an amplified light mixer. You're plus after that, so you can either push a button like a light punch or go for a throw. Something I like to commonly do because I'm plus. And that can be delay throw tech too. Another thing is if you're going for a jump in, right? And somebody blocks, you could go for a throw there. That's a strike throw mix up, right? That's another potential use for it, and something I like to do in match. What about in the corner? Sometimes I do throw strike mix up in the corner after a throw. I'll run in and go for a crouching medium punch because it's plus, and if they block, I might go for a throw after. Maybe even a drive rush crouching medium and do a throw. And so, yeah, if you've got delay throw tech, it's potentially useful in any of these situations to shut down an offense. I'm not going to lie, when I first saw people doing this, opponents, a while back, I thought they were cheating, that they were running an obvious script because there was a lot of complaining in the first year to 2 years of Street Fighter 6 of people who were buying scripts and buying cheats online, and it would allow them to do things like instant throw tech and react much more quickly in all types of situations than any human was possible. And so when I saw players doing what looked like instantaneous throw techs, if you know anything about the game, you know that the game is set up in a way where you only have a very small window to be able to tech a throw, and it's not actually big enough where you could do it in the amount of time where you would see somebody going for the throw and then actually be able to react as a human being in the amount of time that you have. And so I went into the replays and I put the commands on for the screen to actually watch what I was seeing people doing in matches where it seemed like it was instantaneous. And what I found was, as you can see here, that the commands are on the screen, right? You can see that I'm pushing block as Cammy is going for the strike, and then I'm tapping throw really quickly after. And the reason why this is possible is because you've already blocked, so the system has already recognized that you've blocked. But you can tap throw, and the system will also recognize if they go for a throw that you've pushed throw right around the time, either before or after they pushed it. And so it'll give you the delayed throw tech, right? You can see there. So you're looking at the commands. Like I pushed the throw a little bit before the cami there, and you get the throw tech. It could be right around the same time. It could be just a little bit after. It could be at the same time, depending on how quickly you push that throw. But yeah, this is a system mechanic that the game allows you to do. Where if you didn't know any better, you think that somebody's running a script or something or cheating, but they're really not. The person is predicting in advance that it's going to be a strike and then a throw, and they're doing the block and then they're doing the throw immediately after, and it's picking up on your throw. So hence it looks like an instantaneous throw tech to you. So I want to say outright that I don't think that there's anything inherently about a delayed throw tech technique that makes it turtling. I think it's a very potentially and practically powerful method of playing defense, but it can lend itself to turtling depending on how somebody actually plays. It could be done so consistently in different situations and religiously that it's being done in situations where it's not actually appropriate to do it. In other words, when people start spamming delayed throw tech, I think what's happened for a lot of players is they are doing this, and they figure, well, what's it cost me if I push throw after every time I block an opponent's attempted strike? I'm still blocking, right? And I also have the potential to stop the throw strike mix up. So what's wrong with that? Well, I'm going to talk in a minute about what the potential problems are here of that kind of spamming and why I think it brings you into turtling territory. Classic example of a situation where somebody's getting into turtling territory by relying too heavily on delayed throw tech is if you're doing this as an alternative to anti-airing. This is just fundamentally silly as far as I can tell, and I don't know why anybody wanted to do this because if you think about it, the cost versus reward is truly out of whack. If you anti-air properly, you're getting guaranteed damage. So why would you trade that for blocking a jump in with the potential to stop the throw after? You would stop the throw after if you stopped the jump in to begin with. So what you should be doing, and this is, I think, in the case of Rashid, like there's a lot of things that would be a lot more impressive for you to be doing rather than blocking a jump in attack and then spamming delayed throw tech. I mean, you've got a lot of sort of things. Like you could, at the very least, be doing a basic anti-air like a heavy mixer. You could be doing something like, the jumping medium punch into light sky high and heavy kick. You're talking about around 20% damage there, as you could see in that one. right here. You'd be doing the jump medium punch into EX sky high. That's going to net you 22% damage. You could be spending your time trying to fish for jump ins by tossing her up the heavy whirlwind shot. And yeah, this is just sort of a game you can play with people to try and make them jump. And if they do jump with the heavy whirlwind shot, you can usually catch them in the air because of the curved nature of his projectile. You can do all types of stuff there too, like running slide punch into a level one. That's big damage, 30%. Um, you could slide punch into a level three, which is really big damage. Like these are much more impressive things to be doing with your time in terms of anti-airing than just blocking a jump in and then teching a throw. You could be doing the double heavy kick, driver double heavy kick, forward medium punch into light eagle spike, as you just saw there, which is a really cool combo. Much better display of skill and use of your time and effort. You could do, the drive, or you could do the anti-air into EX spike into heavy mixer, 24% damage almost. You could do an iteration on what I was just talking about with a level 3 at the end, and the two standing heavy kicks into the forward medium punch light spike. You're going to get into the 45 to 50% range damage there. So yeah, obviously, there are situations where delayed throw tech is not appropriate, and you really do bring yourself into turtling territory if you're choosing to avoid uh, fighting somebody and just blocking over, let's say, actually actively engaging with them and doing things to put yourself on the offensive while you're also playing defense, which would be a much better use of your time. And of course, being able to do anti-air combos is not unique to just Rashid. So this is something you could be doing with a variety of different characters in this. So as I've been arguing here, a powerful technique like delayed throw tech should be, in terms of its use, should be dictated by the player's behavior. It should not be an end-all, be-all thing that you just do and spam all the time. Because if that's the case, you've got a certain kind of philosophy and mindset in the game, which is turtling. You just want to avoid getting hit, and so you're doing things in all different situations that might at first seem good to you because you're protecting yourself against strike throw, but they actually open you up because the delayed throw tech will lose in other situations to other approaches. So a smart player is going to suss that out and figure that out when they're playing you. They're going to see that you're doing a spam on delay tech, and they're going to do things like a shimmy, for example. So we're going to take a look at that. Different types of situations. You can, as you see here, do a drive rush into your fastest button, which would be standing light kick for Rashid, and then you can just walk back a tiny bit. And so if you're spamming delayed throw tech, you're going to get opened up because all I have to do and all Rashid has to do is walk back a tiny bit, and then he can punish you, as you see here, right? And there's all types of punishes from the simplest ones like that to ones that are much more involved, like involving supers, where you could be losing as much as 50% or more of your health just from one simple mistake of relying too heavily on delayed throw tech and getting lit up. So you can see there's all types of possibilities here. Beyond getting shimmied with something like a drive rush, just in general, focusing too much on always looking for throws and constantly being looking to tech can hurt you in other situations too. As you can see in some of these scenarios with the EX shot, if somebody runs forward as Rashid, all they have to do is shimmy back a little bit, and they can hit you with all types of permutations of combos. Some of these really big damage too. So it's not just about delayed throw tech, but sometimes you just see a lot of players will be really overly emphasized on stopping the throw. They're afraid of the throw when there's a lot of more dangerous sort of things out there. So these are all really sort of tips here, as you can see with these examples that I've got of how you can punish people for turtling too much, either in terms of constantly being focused on throw tech in general, or delayed throw tech too. You can see with some of these combos, like you can even finish with a level 3. You're talking about a decision where if you become too predictable as a player, you could be easily punished for 50% damage. So this is the whole idea again of playing the player, right? You want to play the player in the sense that if you see somebody's relying too much on throw teching and delayed throw teching, you can take advantage of that and exploit that as Rashid. Delayed throw tech is also susceptible to punishment through a double jump bait. So if you notice that somebody's relying on delayed throw tech as an alternative to proper anti-airing, all you have to do is do the second jump after they block the first one, and then what's going to happen is they're going to get exposed because on the second jump, the whiff for the delayed throw tech throw is going to come out, right? And you're talking about the potential for some serious damage there too. If you do the jumping heavy kick, you can take them to the corner. Now they're in the corner in big trouble. You can finish with a super or whatever. And some of these combos, you're talking about big boy damage combos here. Some of these, they might cost quite a bit, as you can see here with this one. The EX Cyclone into EX Mixer into level 3. But that's really big game over round under damage. The issue of what is lost when you focus too much on a delayed throw tech is that this is not just an issue of getting lit up and getting beat when it comes to like a shimmy or something or some kind of other bait, but it's an issue of mental stack. What is it that you want to invest in? People can say all day long, well, it doesn't cost me anything. I could even be doing it subconsciously once I do it enough to just push throw every time after I block a potential strike from an opponent. But the reality of the situation is that psychologically, biologically, your brain, whether you're aware of it or not, if you're doing it subconsciously, is devoting part of your mental stack to that delayed throw tech every time that you do it, just like anything else, whether it's an anti-air, whether it's counter DI when we're talking about defense, whether we're talking about any kind of defense that you might be doing. So the real question is, are you efficiently allocating your energy and resources to the proper defense when it comes to combating your opponent? So what you should be asking yourself in this situation is, if I'm looking to rely on delayed throw tech, is it appropriate based on the actual player that I'm running into? Because there's a lot of other things, like if they're not doing strike throw mix up regularly, and it's something that, or something they're doing a lot, then yeah, you should be devoting a lot of energy to the throw strike mix up and protecting yourself against that because you'll be getting hit with it a lot. But if they're not doing it a lot and they're relying on other things, you want to ask yourself some basic questions. Am I in each situation doing what needs to be done to protect myself? I could be focusing on labbing out what are some ways, if I've got good reaction times and if I can develop reaction times, how to avoid, for example, a butt splat. So you could, as Rashid, do a quick backdash if you're able to identify quickly enough that the Honda's going for a butt splat. You could light them up for really big damage, as you see here, for like 30% damage. This would be much more effective use of your time, something like this, than just sitting there consistently and thinking, well, I'm just going to block and then do a delayed throw tech in case they try to throw me after. Or if you just want to keep it really simple, are you at the very least perfect parrying every butt splat? This is part of a mental stack, right? Are you perfect parrying every headbutt consistently? Are you perfect parrying or trying to perfect parry Bison when he does a Psycho Crusher? Are you doing these things that are important as part of your defense? As we've been talking about, have you been checking every jump in with an anti-air? Are you checking every drive rush? This is actually a really big deal too. You can turn defense into active offense and not only shut down a huge system mechanic in the game by labbing this kind of stuff out and devoting your mental stack to this. Um, so you're not just playing defense, but you're actively taking your defense and turning it into offense here. Just something as simple as a medium punch into a target combo, EX Cyclone, corner carry into a level 1 is 30% damage. These actually aren't rhetorical questions. When I say, is somebody who is relying really, really heavily, arguably over relying on delayed throw tech, are they perfect parrying every time that they need to be doing it? Are they anti-airing every jump in? Are they checking every drive rush with an attack and a big damage combo? Are they counter DIing every DI? It's not these are not rhetorical questions. What I have noticed with 99% of these players is they're not doing all of those things. So the point that I'm trying to get at here is that, defense is about more than just deciding that you're just going to focus on this one thing, delayed throw tech. What you want to do is you want to be focusing on each defensive technique in each situation in which it's relevant and using your mental stack in a more efficient way in that sense. And you want to be picking the proper defensive tactic for each individual situation that you're facing, and you want to develop your reaction times so that you could, for example, go into the lab and say, I'm going to vary between perfect parry, on a headbutt or something versus I'm going to do a counter DI for a DI, and I'm going to do a proper anti-air, and I'm going to do a proper drive rush check when someone drive rushes. And like if you could cycle effectively between two, three, four of these options defensively, that's a much better use of your mental stack than just picking generically. Oh, I'm just going to do a block and then a throw check every time, sort of thoughtlessly, whenever anybody comes at me and does a strike, and I'm going to assume they're going to do a throw. So this is all about mental stack, and it's about how you efficiently use that. And there are much better ways to do that, and there are much worse ways to do it. When we talk about extreme turtling and delayed throw tech as spam as a form of turtling, this is a much less efficient way to play on defense. And there are ways to exploit that, as I've been showing in the video here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually look at some examples from real life matches. Looking at some of the examples here, you've got an actual double jump here against a Marissa, where I used it to bait out the delayed throw tech. Now, I didn't just do that assuming that this person was going to delay throw tech. I did it because this person was spamming delay throw tech throughout the match, and you can actually exploit that. Here's a jury, same thing. You've got drive rush into a jump, exploiting the fact that this person was also spamming delay throw tech, and it makes you predictable as a player, and you can punish that. In this case with the Zangief, this Zangief was constantly throw teching, whether just in general, expecting a throw every time they woke up, like there, or on a delay throw tech too. And so, in real time, you want to be able to sort of recognize patterns. So here, this person was doing this a number of times, and I figure, okay, so what you want to do after they spam that throw tech is you want to bait them. We can do a drive rush here into a standing light kick. And you do the drive rush into standing light kick, walk back, shimmy, and punish. You've got a Lily here. And you could shimmy on your enhanced light mixer, right? Because you're plus there. So we've got an Aki here. If you think someone's going to spam delay throw tech, you can do your sequences for your combos. You can shimmy and punish, right? Here's the same Zangief. The double jump bait. It's effective in exposing that spamming for the delay throw tech into pretty big damage. We've got a Luke here who had been spamming throw tech the entire match. You can light them up during a combo, expect that they're going to continue to spam it after a combo sequence, and you can just shimmy them on wake up, right? As I did there, as you can see. Zangief again, enhanced light mixer, jump, bait out the delayed throw tech. And a big damage. In the corner, punished. Fellow Rashid, same thing. Drive rush into a supposed tick throw. But you're not going to do the throw, you're going to bait him out. Here's a jury with the enhanced mixer. Bait him again. Some of these combos, I mean, you can really get creative here. Massive amount of damage. And so the point I'm trying to make is that, this is something that players are doing consistently. They're choosing to devote their mental stack to spamming delayed throw tech because it's easy and because it gets results, but it's something that's not a good idea to just do by itself over and over and over without paying attention to the actual player, because what they can do is they can bait you, as you're seeing here, light you up for big damage, and then that's game over. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you on the next video.